Alec, welcome back to another year of Hogwarts. All right.
It's
Here
another
we
year.
are.
Another year.
Here we are with Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, known in other
Long hair.
countries. Known in other countries as Harry Potter and his hot cup.
It's hot cup of Joe. We
Yep.
Zach, what do you think about this movie? Let's
I,
just get right into it.
I love this
It's just
movie.
I mean, really,
Yeah.
I don't. I don't
I
love
had a
this movie.
feeling. I just had a feeling watching this. Like anything I like, of course he's not gonna like it. I
What do you mean? You really liked Prisoner of Azkaban quite a lot.
Yeah, but I just have a feeling like I can't have anything precious in this world. I'm like, I love this movie. I love it.
I do not love this movie. I enjoy this movie. I actually found myself enjoying it more than I was expecting this time around, but I still do not love this movie.
It's so good.
I have many, many, many problems with it. First and
All
foremost,
right,
this
let's
is, I
hear it.
think, well, first and foremost, I think this is the first movie where if you had not read the book, and yes, I'm including Prisoner of Azkaban, which has a sloppy, I would say, sloppy adaptation. I feel like this is the first movie where if you'd not read the book,
That's me.
you'd be watching this and you'd be like, what is going on? Because they just hit you right from the get-go. You're like, boom. Okay, maybe not right from the get-go. You're like, okay, I'm following a weird old man. Cool. It's not very Harry Potter, but whatever. Oh, Voldemort's there. Okay, and then boom. After that, it's like, all right, here we are. We're at the Weasley's place, and then we're also going to see the Quidditch World Cup. Except we're not going to see the Quidditch World Cup. We're just going to see people talking about it, and then we'll see some stuff that happens during it. And then there's people attacking the cup. And there's a guy that this same guy we saw in the first scene. Don't forget that. Well, really, really, really important that you see his face. And then he's gonna cast the dark mark, and then we're gonna introduce even more new characters. There is so much going on, so fast.
I know.
Throughout this whole movie,
In the
and
beginning, I would agree with you. I actually was feeling the same way. I was like, oh, this isn't shaping up to be good. But by the end of it, I loved it.
So that's the first of my issues with it. Um, I think it tries to cram in because there's a lot of important information in this book and in the just that needs to be had in order to really make the rest of the story, this moving forward, make any sort of sense. One of the things that I hate the most about this movie, there's several things that I hate about this movie, but one of the things I hate the most, and maybe this is just me, but they completely ruin the entire mystery of who's behind everything. We see Barty Crouch Jr. at the first scene. We see his face in the first scene. Harry doesn't know who he is, but we as an audience see who it is. We then see him like 15 minutes later, and he's the guy that cast the dark mark. Okay, you'd be like, well, yeah, that doesn't mean very much, Alec. Well, what is, who cares? We see the same guy. And Harry doesn't know who he is, and Harry also doesn't see who cast the dark mark either. He has no idea, but we see both these times. We as an audience is connecting these things in our brain.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Barty Crouch Jr. later in Dumbledore's memory, tying the audience to be like, okay, well, he's obviously involved in all this stuff because he's still around. So when's he gonna? So he's gonna come back in the end of the movie in some way. It's already planting this idea to the audience. It's like, do you get it? Do you get that Barty Crouch Jr. is involved? Do you get this? Instead of doing what you could do and actually having Barty Crouch Sr. be more of a character rather than just a figure. He's basically in the movie for like 3 scenes, and he gets
I didn't have any opinion. He's just there.
no sympathy for him at all. Basically, through the whole movie, you see him at the Quidditch World Cup scene. He shows up. I guess he's like in some minor scenes and stuff here and there. Another big scene for him is the trial in the memory, obviously, and then when he's talking with Harry, and then he recognizes that Mad Eye Moody's has the. Another thing, the mouth twitch. Another thing that just indicates to the audience, it's a visual thing. It's so obvious, indicating to the audience the mouth twitch, which means like, hey, it's crazy person. We see that Barty Crouch Jr. do that constantly. and then we see Mad Eye Moody do it occasionally
A lot of
as
licking.
well. And it's so oh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's telegraphed. It's completely telegraphed. The entire mystery is telegraphed to the audience, the whole movie. I mean, I get that, like, the polyjuice potion being the twist might be, it's still a little bit of a surprise that Mad Eye Moody is him in disguise. It's sort of telegraphed pretty heavily, but I can still see that being a little bit more mystery. But the fact that it's planted in your mind from the beginning of the movie, who's behind everything, it's so frustrating. This is probably my favorite book of the whole series. I love Deathly Hallows notwithstanding. I love that book too. This is for the longest time, this is my favorite book in the series. And I just love how, like, off the wall and strange and interesting it is, and I think the movie does a pretty good job of showing that.
Mhm.
But they ruined the most interest. That blew my mind as a kid reading it, and it still does. She did such a good job writing that mystery. It's so frustrating to have that just completely ruined by the movie. It's completely ruined, and I can't stand. When I went and saw it, me and my dad were listening to the audiobook at the same time, and so we hadn't gotten to the end yet. And it was going to be like, oh, well, we'll still go see it. Well, obviously, we'll have the ending spoiled. But I was thinking, like, great, that's still going to be fun because, like, my dad's not going to see that twist coming. And sure enough, yeah, he saw the twist coming at the beginning of the movie because they explain kind of everything at the beginning of the movie. So it's like, I guess that's a rare fringe case because it spoiled it for my dad, but, like, I still feel like the movie just hammers you over the head. I hate the direction of this movie. I hate the direction of this movie. That's kind of where I'm coming from there. I really just don't think Mike Newell, which he was only here for this movie, so I don't think anyone else liked him very much too. I don't know. Alfonso Cuarón, yeah, okay, yeah, he was only here for one movie too, and he was an amazing director. Anyway, yeah. I don't like this movie, but I found myself having a pretty good time this time watching it. I think the entire middle section of this movie is kind of delightful. Specifically, everything about the Yule Ball. I love. I love all of that stuff. I love all that stuff. It's so much fun. It's so awkward. It was so relatable to me as a kid, and it's like I cringe now, and I'm like, man, I could relate to that so hard. And
I mean, I wrote so many notes throughout this movie, but yeah, the biggest highlight I got is, like, Ron is such a petty bitch throughout this whole movie.
He is. He's petty to Harry and he's petty to Hermione. It's great.
Like,
it's like, wow.
It's a lot. Like Ron, not a good look for. It's like Ron. It's like analyzing, like, a survivor player throughout the series. Like, this is not a good episode for Ron. This is like this is a low light. You see some of Ron's flaws here coming out.
Yeah. It's true. It's for sure.
But I mean, I thought it was comical, like how petty he was, like, and Harry's just unbothered, like Ron, you're being stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I
like,
still
Harry
love
never
that, like,
does anything wrong ever, and just people just around him will be like, "How dare you do this?" or he'll get framed for this or that, and he's just like, he's got, like, no expression on his face. He's like, "What? Come on, I'm just Harry Potter. I'm just trying to be myself.
I'm just.
I don't want.
You're not
I don't
even
want
17 yet." I can still. I can still. Yeah, I can still quote this movie. Of course, because it's just my brain. I don't know. I have a problem, but I can't quote. Not like Chamber of Secrets. That's a very special case. I don't know why that movie in particular. That one's very. But, like, there's whole swaths of this movie that I can still, like, just remember very well. I don't know.
I mean, there's just a lot of. I like a lot of the characters in this movie, and even though it was very weird in the beginning when they introduced, like, the two other schools, they're, like, so comically, like,
like, yeah.
Okay, the girls come out, And
You learn that
bloody
Ron's
hell.
an ass guy. Ron's an ass guy, and it's like, okay, I can appreciate that. I can relate to that.
Literally,
But
the
it's
camera
just,
on their butts, and Ron's bloody hell. It's just.
is it weird? It's a little weird. It's
And
a
then
little,
I mean, they were
strange.
weird in general. Like they're coming out like, what do they have? Like rose petals? What's going on here? I don't know. But they were like striking
Yeah.
poses, and okay, these are the pretty girls school, I guess. And then that's about all they are.
So here's another thing, because the audience is really dumb. They had to make Durmstrang is apparently now an all boys school, and oh man, I forgot the name of Beauxbatons is an all girls school. How could we forget? How could I remember?
Who could forget?
I could forget. Beauxbatons is Beauxbaton. Is an all girls school, but that's not the way it is in the book. You have boys and girls in both schools.
Okay.
But because the audience is dumb, you have to make it telegraphic.
Remember which ones are which.
Yeah, exactly. Because the audience is dumb.
Yeah, that's no good.
I think that's my problem with this movie. It like every decision, every like direction and writing decision is because the audience is dumb. And that's very, very frustrating. I get that you're making this, especially this is the first one that's rated PG-13 also. But it's like
yeah, that's no
but
good.
your audience is dumb.
Because that
So
was noticeable to me, where they're like one dimensional, and then the guys come in and it's not much better.
oh, Tarqaron is a cardboard cutout. Also, oh my god, another thing that I hate: the red herring, the dumbest red herring I've ever seen in my life in a movie. We see Igor Karkaroff. He probably says like 5 lines in the whole movie. But we see him.
He was a Death Eater.
He was apparently a Death Eater. Oh no, because he did show up in the trial. That's right, because he's on trial. That's the most character we get out of him in the whole movie. He's like basically is a cardboard cutout in the rest of the movie. We see him like go into the like looking into the like the Goblet of Fire, like go in. But like that's like never really brought up or addressed ever again.
Right.
It's just to be like, he might have something to do with this audience, except like he's never really like focused on in any discernible way after that, except for the trial scene. To a point where we would think, wow, he might be a real threat, because I mean we don't really get anything. We don't get anything as an audience. He doesn't show up for like close to it feels like an hour of the movie goes by before like seeing him significantly again.
Mm-hmm. I mean, now that you mention it, a lot of these characters are pretty weak. I don't know why, but I'm able to gloss over. I just like the rest of the movie so much.
I will say so Mike Newell made a real big point. I feel like I just fundamentally disagree on how like what he decided to focus on in the story, which is fantastical and is about a competition and a tournament. Tournament arcs in anime, I mean, like that's like my thing. I love the tournament. Tournaments are great. Instead, he was like, Harry Potter is primarily a school story, so I wanted to infuse it with everything that I liked when I was in school. And I was a schoolboy, so we had school dances,
like that?
and we had school fights. I'm just making it. I don't remember what he sounded like.
You.
And so it was just like, okay, that's fun, and I like that. I like that you infused
you love
it.
The Yule Ball.
I love the Yule Ball. I love the like the enthusiasm of like making it feel more like it's a school. But I feel like when that's the only thing that you have going for your movie, a movie that has a lot of magic and excitement and a tournament. Also, maybe this is a problem in the books too. I don't really remember, but boy, these sure were not interesting things for the audience to watch.
What things?
The underwater trial, the underwater, the second trial, and then the third one. Neither of which were interesting for them to watch whatsoever. Boy, let's look at some hedges for a good couple. It's like 45 minutes.
That's true.
Or like let's just look at the Black Lake for 45 minutes or an hour, I guess. That's how long that was. But
and what kind of So when they introduced the Triwizard Tournament and the Goblet of Fire and everything, you put your name in there, and they freaking whip out the Harry Potter on them. I'm like, what kind of exploitable bullshit is this? Like, now you're bound by it. Oh, it's a magical contract, so he has to
So
participate.
I feel like that's something that's explored a little better in the book. I don't. It's been too long since I've read the book. I will admit I don't remember, but I think there is like a stipulation with like magical contracts where it's like if bad things can happen to you. Like I don't know if it's like physical
Sure.
deformities or if like I mean maybe you die. I don't know.
Right.
I mean
Well,
to me to up the stakes it would have been like well if you don't do it you'll die. Like I feel like that would have been a more binding thing, you know.
Thank God this was put on the
Protagonist.
the boy who lived.
Yeah, the
Like,
boy
you
who
could have
lived.
sentenced any poor other like lesser wizard or witch to death just like by doing that and throwing them in there. It's like, oh, all right, well, you have to do it. Just go get killed by this dragon real quick. And it's like your obligation.
So another thing I
Fuck
hate
God.
about this movie is Angry Door. I can't
I love him.
I can't believe. Of course you do. I cannot I cannot believe I cannot believe that they had the gall. They had the gall. Okay, so first of all, Dumbledore is just shouting throughout this entire movie. He's
I
basically
loved
just
it.
yelling constantly.
I loved it.
He's yelling. He's yelling constantly. Eternal glory. He's like yelling
There's the
constantly. He's just
magical
like
yells too. I mean, he's got his
yeah, and
wand
he
up
says
too.
the magical yells. That's cool. I like that detail, by the way. The sonorous charm. That's really great. He's yelling all the time. He's yelling constantly. They take one of like the best interesting parts of the book. It's not the best or interesting part of the book, but like they take a part of the book that's very easily. I remember one I was watching it being like, what? Why does he? Why is he acting like this way? He's like angry at Harry. He's like angry at Harry for like most of the movie, and it's very strange. Where it's very specifically it's been memed to death now, but the moment where Harry's name comes out of the Goblet of Fire, Dumbledore's just pissed off, which is just bizarre. It's just such a strange state for Dumbledore, this wise wizard that's done nothing but like care and look after Harry, is like actually like angry at him, like legitimately pissed off. Like he just
Yeah.
hands him the paper, and then he has the wherewithal to take the boy who lived, which, as you learn later, Dumbledore cares very much for Harry for very specific reasons. Takes the boy who lived, shoves him against a cabinet, and like shakes him down, and is like, "You go to the end of the Goblet of Fire."
Yes, yes,
You
Jordan.
ask one of the old students to do it for you.
Yes, Dumbledore.
Are you absolutely sure? Whereas in the book, it's everyone else is yelling and all upset, and Dumbledore, Harry, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? Asked Dumbledore calmly.
Uh,
It's completely out of character for
Okay.
Dumbledore as a character for Dumbledore to be doing these sort of things. It's just
I mean,
for him to
I'm
be
all
like-
here for him joining the unhinged club. Like, we gotta know. Everybody's gotta get some unhinged moments.
yeah, I don't buy it with
I mean,
Dumbledore. I'm
Alistair
sorry.
Moody,
It's just I
Alistair
can't
Moody,
do
or
it.
at least who appears to be Alistair Moody, comes in with the unhinged energy, which I appreciate as well.
That's hey, me too.
I really liked him in
Uh,
this movie.
Yeah, me too. I think he might be the highlight of the movie for me. I think he's wonderful.
He is.
Brendan Gleeson is an amazing actor. If you hadn't seen him in like any of his more serious roles, phenomenal, absolutely fantastic actor. And he brought it. It was fun. He was very fun, very quirky, very insane. I mean, he's mad. He's actually mad. Mad-eyed Moody.
Actually, mad low key. I mean, there's a satisfying moment. Like, I guess Draco just needs to get his comeuppance like every episode or every movie. I mean,
Yeah, a little bit. He's a little bit of a snot. So
Draco, by the way, is giving me nothing so far. He's still just a little brat like every movie.
yeah, it is interesting watching these back again. It's like how limited of time that he gets, really.
Like, I don't know.
Like, it's kind of-
Again, I don't remember the rest of the details of everything that happens.
Mhm.
But yeah, people always talked about Draco Malfoy, and then it's just like you see these movies, and he's just like bully, and like
He's just Harry's
brat.
bully. He's just Harry's rival.
You know,
that's kind of his,
every
his
movie
thing.
he's got to get this little like moment where he threw the little creature on his face, and then he turned him into a ferret. It's like, all right.
can tell you stories about your father that would even curl your greasy hair, boy.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like almost he's a bully with and like a brat with like no really right to do so. It's like he just thinks just because of his family he has this right, but
Pretty
like
much, yeah.
if you look at merit, like how much more Harry Potter has done, it's like what are you bullying him for? Like he's obviously he's like leagues better than you and like way more accomplished already. But
He disagrees. He thinks you won't last 5.
so stupid. Like he's just stupid.
Don't boast, Draco. There's no need with these people.
Right.
And
I'm obviously evil, so you'll see that
freaking
later.
yeah, but he's on point though. I love him. Jason Isaacs is just such a he just gives it, you know. He's just like he gives that evil energy. He gives it all. That's the thing also about this movie. Despite all my grievances with it, I also hate the score. I really don't like the music in this movie. That's not true. That's a lie.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that in a
You're
second.
just lying now.
The cast is still great. Their casting is still phenomenal. I don't really know if I really like David Tennant as so much. I love David Tennant as an actor. I don't know if I love him as the interpretation they gave Barty Crouch Jr., where they made like.
I agree. He didn't really do much for me in this.
Very bizarre. I love David Tennant. Don't get me wrong, but it was very strange interpretation. Again, I think that's down. A lot of that's down to direction.
Very licky. Did he have his tongue out as much in the books?
Did he have his tongue out as Doctor Who? That's the real. No, I don't. None of that stuff. None of that weird stuff was in there.
Like, what is he, a frog? Like, it was giving me.
They don't explain. I don't know. It was so weird. I don't know why they. Okay, it's because like crazy people. We got to give them like a weird facial tic or deformality because they're crazy. Another thing, the audience is stupid, so we have to do something make it like, oh, they're crazy. Okay,
David Tennant can do crazy without sticking his tongue out, I think.
Yeah, you can, but they didn't do that because you're stupid. Do you get it yet? And that's why I don't like this movie so much. That's why
I love this movie so much.
Because you think the audience is stupid and you need to get talked down to constantly. Let's go back to the music because I mentioned that, and that was a bit of a hot take. I actually do like the music in this movie. I hate the it is like bombast upon bombast. It is just like it is just so like this is epic. Like for every challenge that's going on, all 3 Triwizard challenges, it's just like everyone is like bomb. And I'm just like, calm down. You can calm down for like at least 5 minutes. It'd be fine. But I do like the Harry and Winter theme. Is very lovely. It's very nice and pleasant. The Hogwarts hymn, I think is what's called. That's kind of nice too, which is like, it's very nice. And just some of the just other general themes are good and interesting, but yeah, I really just don't like the like overly bombastic everything. But another shout out to Patrick Doyle is a composer that I actually really like a lot. There are parts of this movie that feel like he was holding back from the score that he did to Secondhand Lions, movie that I love a lot. And there's like different cues and stuff in this movie where I was like, oh, I can tell that he composed both these movies. That's just a little fun fact. That's also really all I have to say about that.
He made the Roblox oof sound effect.
No, he did not. He did not do that. Did you watch? Have you watched that video? Did I share that with you? I don't remember.
I haven't watched it. If you have.
Okay. It's like 2 hours long, so would be surprised if you did. But
right after this.
I'll get on that right after this.
So I also like Cedric. I actually like him.
Yes, 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. I love him.
I was like, oh, I didn't even know he was. By the way, when I watched this movie, I'm like, I don't remember any of this. Like the last 3 movies, I could remember like stuff as they were coming. Like, oh yeah, I remember this now. But I'm like, this was all foreign to me. It's like, did I even watch this? I don't know. It was like all new. maybe
Uh,
maybe shades of the Moaning Myrtle stuff. I like maybe I would give it.
ooh, okay. Oh, yeah. I don't like that scene either. That creeps
I
me out
mean,
every
it
time.
was like
It's
the
so uncomfortable.
sexual
And that
chemistry
was the
was so
thing.
raw,
It
and I
was
loved it.
so weird.
Yeah.
No, what? What do you what?
No, it was palpable. The sexual tension, right?
God, it's
No,
so weird. Everything about that was weird.
no, but yeah. So
So she does
Cedric,
show up. She does show up in the prefix bathroom in the book, but there's like specific things where she's like where Harry like specifically has her like turn around and cover her eyes so she's not looking at him when he's like getting in and out of the bath.
Mhm.
But yeah, they upped the weird sexuality of that scene. It was very strange. Anyway,
Yeah, what
Cedric
if they
Diggory, you were saying.
what if they cut back like they like cut away from that scene, they cut back, and then like Harry's like smoking a cigarette or something, you know? That was a deleted scene. Actually.
Why? Oh no! You know what was a deleted scene? You know what's a deleted scene in this movie? It was actually more characterization for Eeyore Karkaroff, which is really annoying. But in the earlier part of the scene, Harry is like wandering off. It's during the Yule Ball, and Harry's wandering off after. I think it's like after the Padma and Parvati like ditch them because they're being lame. Harry just like gets up and goes for a walk. As he's going through, a lot of he like one of the carriages, like they have like one of the carriages, like the horseless carriages or whatever. It's like Harry's walking by and he sees like one of them moving. He's like one of them moving back and forth, and he like looks in, and he sees like a couple making out, and they like look at him weird. And he like walks away, and then they go back to making out. It's so bizarre. I was like, wow, why was this in this movie? It's so weird. It's so weird. But then it goes to Harry overhears Snape and Karkaroff talking about the their tattoo. The name I can't remember, but the
people, you know, it's often in the conversation starter. People's tattoos, they love talking about them. You know.
I do. I like.
Just...
Wait, are you referencing my thing there?
What thing? I wasn't.
Do you remember in my 50 things I enjoy?
Oh yeah.
There's like tattoos or one of the things. Yeah, I just like talking about tattoos. Yeah, it's fun.
No, I'm just saying, it's something people bond over. They were just talking about their tattoos. Where'd you get?
Yeah, like, wow, cool, man. I like it. I like the movement on that. It's pretty sweet.
So okay, Cedric, I like that he wasn't. I expected him to be the typical, like, stereotypical, like, jock guy that's propped up, you know, that kind of, and like arrogant and doesn't really care about anyone, which is, I mean, similar to Crumb, I guess. But I liked the little bit in the maze where it's like you expect when Harry does that classic hero dilemma, like, do I go back or do I go on? Like you expect traditionally, he goes and saves this guy, and then he like obviously he like pushes him back and takes advantage of the situation. But it actually was just okay. He appreciated it, and it was a nice moment. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna turn on you now. Actually,
yeah, I really like. I think he's perfect and perfect. If we could have made that miniseries that's going to be coming out, the Harry Potter, each season is a book. If we could have gone and redone that, then like he's perfect. I mean, he's just absolutely phenomenal. Like he's so likable, so charming. It's like he's not in the movie for a long enough period of time that you would think on paper be like, I'm rooting for him. I like him. But he is. For some reason, they make that part work really well. That you really like him, you really take a shine to him, and it's like he's just great. I think he's a great actor. I think Robert Pattinson is a great actor, and I think that I love Cedric in this movie. He's great. Cho Chang, love her. She's great. She's great. I like it. I like Harry's taste in women. I can agree.
right.
She's
there's not much, I was gonna say
no, it's not really much.
There.
There's not much character there. She's literally just like, I'm girl that Harry likes.
Yeah.
But you know, that's cute. That's fun.
There's so much
You
to
know,
get into
it's
with that
sweet.
Yule dance and how like everybody was fumbling the bag in multiple
Oh,
situations.
oh, it fumbles like crazy, except for George, who asked Angelina Johnson,
That's
and
right. It's like, oh, it
it was
worked.
great. Yeah, to the ball. Yeah, all right. This is so great.
But so before that, they have this the dragons, like that's their
The
first
dragon.
task. I really didn't like that. It was like the other three got their dragons. It was like yada yada off screen, and it was
Oh, it
like
sucked.
it was just like
Yeah, but this.
it was like the other three have moved on, and now it's okay. Now let's see how Harry does. You know, it was like, oh, it actually seemed like everybody was like scared and worried about it, but it's like, okay, all right, they got it just fine off screen, and let's move on and see what Harry's gonna do. I
Apparently,
thought that was kind
apparently
of
their
lame.
dragons did get unchained apparently somehow, and destroy
Really?
the arena. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
his
yeah,
did.
yeah. Well, he
Um,
also whipped out the broom on him, so he was moving him
yeah.
around where he
So
probably shouldn't have
so
been.
yeah. So in the book, he basically like kind of like waited and like went back and forth and like was trying to basically did a thing where he was sort of like weaved in and away and out of it. None of that stupid like the chase scene. Like, oh, the dragon escapes and goes over Hogwarts Castle, and then he kills the dragon. None of that happened.
Mm.
Which, by the way, dragons are an endangered species. They're all of them are basically endangered species,
Yeah.
and so it was kind of interesting to me that they made a point of like, oh yeah, Ron's brother Charlie, who works in Romania, who we've heard at like a dragon like sanctuary to like
Right.
raise them. This is like, yeah, he brought them over from Romania. And it's like, and then we're just gonna kill one of them. It's like, what are you?
Wow.
What is this? What
Yeah.
is the? It's oh god. There's it's like it's little things like that that add up that make me so frustrated this movie. Another thing,
By the
the
way,
Quidditch World Cup.
yeah.
What's that all about?
What do you mean? We didn't get to see it?
We didn't get to see any of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
This to me is the movie that um it's going to be so much better as a series. If they can get the right cast, they can do this book justice so much more than what this movie is. And that I think is my one consolation that I'm hoping for in the new series that's coming out, because I there's so much that this movie just doesn't quite land that's so frustrating to me. There's a lot of it there that's good. Like I said, I loved that whole middle section. I mean, I even like the trials to a degree.
To a degree.
I like Neville being a more integral part. I think I can't
Neville
remember
got
the
laid or
actor's name.
something. Like that was kind of like.
He didn't get laid because he went with Ginny. He just had an amazing time
No,
because
no,
he
no. He
gets
got
to.
laid.
Okay,
He
sure.
said. What did he say? He
I
said,
just got
I
in.
just got in. Me.
Me.
I'm like, oh, he just got some. That's what happened.
That's not what he said.
Like, how you got so?
That's not,
What are you coming in
that's not
so
what he.
late for? I mean, come
That's
on.
not what he said. That's not
Not
what he
beat around
said.
the bush.
That's not what he said. Also, why is everyone's hair so damn long? That's another thing I want to
It's
ask.
all a part of the phase. Yep. Harry
That's
and
another
Ron
thing.
and Neville, they all got to grow their hair out for this.
Why was the direction for Hermione to be like, all right, Emma Watson. So we're gonna do. You're gonna be on the verge of tears in like 30% of your scenes for no discernible
She
reason.
was
It's gonna happen.
very affected by the dark arts lesson there, and how he was
Like
how he was casting those curses and whatnot.
like to a bizarre degree. Like I like when it started affecting Neville, I understand. But like in the earlier part where she was like, "There goes that feasible." I was like,
Yeah,
"Is that the best? Is that the best take you got from that? Really? Is that the best? Is that the best you could do?"
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Which I did like that scene overall, though. I thought it was cool.
Oh yeah,
liked
I
the
think
curses.
the scene was overall was very good. I actually, and I do like that she gets emotional because of him. I actually really think I liked that. That's sweet, and I just the extra reinforcing of Neville as a character is something I really like. He's a great character. I love that boy.
And
I did also hate because the audience is stupid. Where they focus in on the thing that Neville was looking at, stained glass of a chubby man crying,
hmm
symbolism. Anyway,
But I also liked in the Defense Against the Dark Arts class. I liked the you know how they tease this stuff, and you know it's like we heard Avada
oh,
Kedavra
the
in the
chest.
beginning,
Oh yeah,
the
okay,
chest
yeah,
too, but we heard the Avada Kedavra in the beginning, and then we
yeah.
show them, oh, that's the killing curse, and then you hear it at the end with the towards the end with Cedric. So I was like, okay, I like how that worked out.
I don't know why I had to take a bite of my sandwich there.
Yeah.
I was just really hungry and I was just looking at it. I had to. I'm sorry. Also,
No,
the
it's
third trial is completely different from the books one, and it feels very much like, well, we spent all the budget on all the other stuff, so let's just make it a maze. Like, let's just make it a hedge maze that the wind blows in a few times and gets all spooky.
mhm.
Whereas in the book, it is like a maze of magical obstacles. And there's all kinds of different cool, interesting things that happen with that.
Mhm.
There's like a sphinx that shows up that asks them questions. It's awesome. But they're probably like, wow, we can't pull that off. We don't have the budget for that. So, hedge maze.
And we see more of Ron being petty with the him telling Hermione to tell Harry that this whisper down the lane of Hagrid needs to talk to you kind of thing.
I like that scene too. I think that's very fun.
And then Harry's like, tell Ron. And she's like, I'm not an owl. I'm like, okay, well, so he gets one and I don't get one? That's cool.
Yep.
This is Harry's just like
Yep.
getting shit like for no reason sometimes.
Hagrid is a delight in this film. I just want to throw that out there. Hagrid's little romance with Madame Olympe is pretty great.
And he sticks a fork in the dude.
He sticks a fork in Flitwick's hand. I must tell you, Hagrid, my horses, they only drink single malt whiskey. You're like, you idiot! Yeah, I don't know. The humor, for the most part, hits pretty well in this movie. That's one thing that I really like about it. I think just
yeah.
Yeah, there's a night. Well, I was gonna say just generally, I think the script is pretty good. I like problems with like certain reveals and stuff aside. I think like the actual like line to line dialogue is very funny, very good when it's trying to be.
Yeah, there was a fun scene in that tent where the champions were supposed to be, and Hermione's on the other side. And
Oh yeah,
and she comes in and hugs Harry and everything, and that whole the picture and everything. But I like when Dumbledore comes in and he's like, he's got his arm around Hermione and he's just like doesn't realize it's her. He's like, oh, what are you doing here? I like that little moment.
It was, yeah. One of my favorite lines in that same scene is when Barty Crouch is the Chinese fireball. Ooh. I've always found that very funny.
My favorite, I love Harry's delivery of like certain lines where it's like deadpan, where he's like, Ron was telling him that he was telling Harry to see Hagrid, like not Seamus, that he was supposed to figure that out. And he's
That's
like, how is
mental.
anyone supposed to figure that out?
That's completely mental. Or like also that it's like, I wasn't the only one, you know. Everyone else is saying it behind your back. Brilliant. That makes me feel loads better.
Yeah. So yeah, the Yule Hall stuff. Let's talk about the Yule Hall.
The Yule Hall?
The Yule Ball.
The Yule Ball?
The Yule Ball.
The Yule Hall. It was like Yule Hall. It was like, yeah.
The Yule Ball. All right.
Yeah.
So,
all that stuff is great.
So Ron really does not handle this well. He like fumbled the ball in multiple ways. You know, I thought it was funny when the twins were all into Harry. I was like, are we about to cut back and Harry's gonna have both of them as his date? I was like almost expecting that. You know, like he has both the twins. Like.
Yeah, it would have been pretty sweet. I mean, they're both, you know, pretty ladies, you know. So it's like,
like one on each arm. Like I thought that was so,
like, hey, I got the Patil twins are my date.
But
that'd be a mad flex right there.
almost like,
Um,
of course they each get one twin. It's like
mm,
whenever there's twins involved, you can just like take one for your friend. That's how twins work.
yeah,
You
yeah, that's how
know,
it usually works. Yeah,
it's they have no agency in the situation. If they like one, if the twins like one of you, then you can pawn one off on another on your friend.
yeah,
But like
yeah. That's how it
Ron,
works. That's how it's.
Ron had no love for her. He's like, "You're not gonna ask me to dance? No."
No. Because Ron is just a jealous little prig, He's just sitting there being all jealous.
Yeah, but then you had the little moment where Hermione's like, you should have asked me before anyone else had the chance to, and not as the last resort kind of thing,
Yeah,
you know." And then he really
she
just
did.
he walked off after that. I was appalled. She was there
I
on
was
the.
I was
I
appalled.
was appalled. She was
She,
there on the steps, like crying about it, and he's just like walked off, like, okay, all right, whatever. Like he was not,
yep,
like that didn't affect him at all. Like this girl you're crushing on just basically said that she wished you had asked her to go, and he's just like, all right, I'll just keep walking up the steps. Obviously, this is my cue to go. I'll just leave her here. Like, wow,
yep,
you fumbled that
yeah,
hard.
yeah. They fumbled that real hard. Fumbled it, fumbly bumbly. That's for sure.
Rough. And Crumb,
Yeah.
Crumb clearly
Is it?
like the opposite of like Hermione's kind of like from the opposite of Hermione, basically.
Hmm.
Like we didn't talk much. He's more the physical type.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's old. I like
Oh yeah,
that.
they
That was a
fucked.
fun
They fucked too.
because that was they. No, that was
So,
they are. Hermione is 14. Victor Crumb is who knows how old he is. Honestly,
is he that old?
He plays. He's 27 and he's still a.
Jesus Christ.
No, but I did like yeah, that was very funny. That was like a scene that was like totally wasn't even in the book. It was just very silly, very cute.
Mhm.
Where Hermione talked about that.
And I like when he comes up at the end and it's like, write to me, I promise. And she absolutely says nothing. I'm not gonna make any
She's just like,
promises.
yeah. She's just like, yeah, sure, whatever, man. The that was one thing in the book that was very funny. How his accent was written. Or he was like talking about like Hermione. He had like a hard time pronouncing her name. It was like Ione, which actually I think may have potentially helped people pronounce her name because Hermione is not exactly a
Right.
common name. So yeah,
Any
that might have
Hermione's
helped
out there in
people.
the world probably are from this because of this.
I mean, heck, if I have children, I would consider naming a daughter Hermione. I think she's a wonderful character.
Yes, she
I
is.
really like her.
I like Ron blatantly, like we mentioned it before, but just loved watching them walk by. He said, "There she was walking by."
You know,
I
I love
like it
how
when
they
they
walk.
walk. Shameless.
That's
Shameless.
that's another thing that's kind of maybe a little awkward because that's his future sister-in-law.
Right. Oh, right.
Yeah. No, that was something that happened in the book, but it was because of something that they don't talk about in the movie, and that's the fact that this is a thing that they introduce in this movie, I think, or in this book. They talk about Vila. Vila are a sort of a like magical hybrid sort of creature kind of thing. Like think like I don't know, like a centaur or like a mermaid or so Vila are like another specific kind of like magical creature. But Vila are like they're basically like succubi sort of to a certain degree. So they have this ability to like basically turn charm on like really really high and get men extremely attracted to them. But then they also can like turn and basically be harpies and like get really upset and angry and they'll like deform a little bit. So Fleur Delacour's mother or grandmother was a full blown Vila, I think. And so she's like a part Vila, which is why she was trying to turn on the chart in the book. Had something to do with like either Cedric Diggory or Crom was like walking by. Somebody she was interested in was like walking by, so she was trying to turn the charm up because she wanted to be asked, and then it hit Ron instead, and then Ron got like all
That's
hot
nice.
and bothered. Yeah,
I like that.
yeah,
I like that detail. Actually, it makes it
yeah,
better.
yeah.
But I like Hermione got this grand entrance in her dress.
Oh, it was beautiful. Yeah, beautiful
Some
scene.
Beauty and
Yeah,
the Beast type stuff going on here.
it was. Yeah, it's almost like that's
It's like almost like she'll play Belle one day.
almost like she'll play Belle one day. Yeah.
And this weird like at the ball, this weird like rock band.
Oh god. Okay. Oh god.
Shades of
This is so embarrassing. This is the embarrassing part of the movie.
shades of
I
Star
think.
Wars. What episode did they add that in?
Jedi episode 6, the Jedi rock scene.
Yes.
It was very that feeling. Except this is in the movie. Like they don't add it in. It's just there.
Like
It's
all these
forever.
let's throw in magical things and make lyrics about it. Like what is put your hands in the air like an ogre who just don't care? What does that mean?
Yeah, or get down with yourself like a boogie down like a crazy elf.
We down like a crazy elf. That's right.
Can you dance like a hippogriff
That's right. Yeah.
flying off from a cliff? This
What does that mean?
what does that
Dance like a
mean?
hippogriff.
Ma 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 ma. It's so bad. I can't. So I don't know who this actual.
Hey, I won't hold it against him because that was very intentional. It was supposed to be mediocre, like a cover
Mediocre
band.
crap.
They couldn't. It's the only all they could hire for this. It's just a
It was
cool ball, you know.
It's supposed to be the Weird Sisters. The Weird Sisters are like the biggest magical band.
Oh, really?
Right. Yeah. That's in the book. Yeah, the Weird Sisters were like they were mentioned in like earlier books and stuff too. The Weird Sisters were like a huge, like really popular magical band. And then instead, what we got was whatever that was. That wasn't the Weird Sisters to me.
That's not the Weird Sisters. They sold out. You know, they're just singing all this magical shit. Just whatever will please you.
Whatever will please you.
Whatever gets a wide audience. It's like they're going for the Muggle audience there. You know, wave your hands in the air like an ogre who don't care. You know,
Believe that magic works. Don't let this magic die. And dance your final dance, because this may be your last chance. It's really bad. It's really sad, and it makes me mad. See, look, I just wrote lyrics from that band. There you go. I think I could be a magical band now.
Yeah.
I think myself. I'll be like the one man project. I'll be like Owl City. Phoenix Wright.
What?
I said Phoenix Wright. That's who I'm gonna be. That'll be my magical name.
But you know, it's like they're cringy lyrics, but in my head canon, it's like, all right, well, it's just a crappy band that they had for this ball.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I mean, you got the big like Voldemort as he is known, henceforth,
Great scene,
and as everybody remembers him, you know.
Yeah, great scene. Ralph Fiennes was a great choice, I think, for Voldemort. He's just very intense, properly intense, and I really like the choice that they picked a man with blue eyes. Blue eyes show up extremely well on film. That's what you want, and not changing his eye color to the red that it is in the book, I think works extremely well because you get that full intensity and like flare in his eyes. It's so great. Just seeing him act is just like
he's great.
It makes an immediate impression. Like extremely. Like you can understand why people were spun in by him, where people who had already a tendency to darkness were like spun in by him, because he's just very like persuasive and he doesn't take BS, and he's very forceful and charismatic, and
he's sexier
he's great.
than Palpatine, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for dang sure. Yeah, no, even without a nose.
I love that. I think it's really cool design, you know. It's very iconic for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like It's very memorable. You know, you think Voldemort. It's a very distinct look. And I like how he's like a little creepy little baby thing
Mm.
in his arms, and he chucks him in there, and he just like grows into the full Voldemort.
Yeah, I like how they did this research for this like really it feels like really like old and ancient and like evil and dark like this
Yeah.
brew that they make to transform him to make him whole again. I like how they don't shy away from that creepiness of that because in the book this was the like by far like the darkest moment of the whole but like it just felt like super disturbing and creepy and strange and weird and they did a really good job of I think showing that on film,
Hmm.
which I really appreciated. So
Right. And then they have the whole Dragon Ball Z wand on wand moment.
yeah, they do, and then they don't explain what happened at all to the audience, which is weird. They've spent the whole movie thinking the audience is really dumb, and then they just give what happened to one line that Dumbledore said that is not explained. Priori incantatem.
Yeah.
You
I was
saw
like,
your parents
okay.
that night, didn't you?
Yeah, I
No
guess
spell
so,
can
but
bring the to life, Harry. I trust you know that. Which is okay. So this is something that's in the book. Again, Priori Incantatem is a standard spell that you can do. You can perform on a wand, and it will show to you what the last spells were cast by the wand and who did them. So when Harry's and Voldemort's wands connect, as we remember back to the beginning of the first movie, where Ollivander explains that these wands are brothers, Harry's wand and Voldemort's wand are related. They have the same phoenix's feathers in them. Um, this relation to each other is what ties the wands together. So when they are facing each other, it's like they interact very strangely and specially and differently. And so this DBZ power thing, which unfortunately shows up in all the basically most of the movies after this,
yeah.
which is very weird. It's very weird because it's only really supposed to happen between them for that specific reason.
Mm.
Um, but that light connecting into Voldemort, so the last thing he cast, Avada Kedavra, because the wands are connected, it essentially just activates Priori Incantatem, the previous spells, previous incantations, and it then the last people he killed, which were Cedric Diggory, which actually Wormtail did, but he did it with Voldemort's wand. Cedric Diggory, Frank, and Lillian James Potter, and they and yeah, that's the apparitions of their spirits of the last people he killed came and helped. And it's like a kind of a special. It's a little maybe a little on the nose, maybe a little hokey, but it's it's magic.
Right.
And yeah, so that's why that happened. Don't
Makes
explain it.
sense. Yeah, it makes sense now. I was like, whatever. Whatever. Whatever, they're there.
Yeah, it feels like a movie moment. Like I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah, it
whatever.
does.
But it's like, no, but it's actually, but there's a reason. It's cool. It's
Well,
interesting.
yeah, I mean, I figured there was a reason.
Mm.
I thought it was like maybe Voldemort had some effect on the thing that made these appear in his head or something, but no, I was like, whatever.
And I gotta say, like that scene where they come back is just like it's great. It's heart wrenching. They do such a good job of like,
Mm.
yeah.
Well, I don't
I
know
can't
why
remember.
everybody was celebrating so hard so quickly. Like Harry was clearly like distressed, and there was like
Harry was
there
clearly
was a dude
Harry's
there.
clearly distressed. Also, they've been missing for the last like half hour or whatever as well, right?
And like you see,
I guess maybe they wouldn't know that. Maybe
does
they wouldn't have
Cedric
known
look
that they
okay to
were.
you? Like you're just like, yeah, Harry
So,
did it. He's all right. He wins or
all right,
something.
cool. I don't know why Cedric's just flat on his back here.
That's weird, but I
Serious.
mean, Harry's here, so
Maybe he's just
I'll-
unconscious, you know?
just blindly, everybody was like
Maybe,
happy and cheering.
Harry used shoot, what's the what's the spell Hermione uses on Neville in the first movie?
Mm.
That she's that crap. I can't remember what it's called. Well, I call myself a Potterhead.
Uh-huh. I heard someone refer to it as Potterfile, and that disturbed me.
Patricia. I don't like that at all. I hate that. In fact, I hate
Like
that.
they said it with no irony whatsoever. They were like in the comments of videos, like us Potterphiles, we're just,
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell?
Petrificus is Petrificus totalis.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Who could forget?
Certainly.
I did, obviously. Well,
that is the goblet. That's the goblet right there.
Goblet of Fire. Oh, special mention to one of my favorite moments in any movie ever. I cannot help but like bust a gut laughing every single time it happens. It's something I noticed when I was a kid or teenager watching this. It's something that I was like mentally registered as being really weird and kind of stupid. But it wasn't until I was talking with Dubs, who you may have seen on the channel before. We were talking about how much we didn't like this movie at one point, and he brought up to me. So you know that scene where they're showing off the Triwizard Cup for the first time?
Mm-hmm.
You ever notice that like they have all this like this boom whiz flashbang? They're really building it up, and then it just the camera just zooms in, and all you see is whiz.
I did. I definitely noticed that. Whiz.
It's so the cup actually has Triwizard on it, but in that shot, all you see is whiz, and that is for some reason that is just the funniest thing to me in the world. It's like this chalice of champions, this vessel of victory. The Triwizard Cup. Pan zoom in on whiz.
Yeah.
It's so the trope is called, or I don't know if it's a trope, but like it's called narm, which is like something that's supposed to be serious or like taken with some sort of seriousness is just the dumbest or stupidest kind of goofy nonsense. That's what that is. That's narm right there. And yeah, I wanted to mention that because I love that scene. Not for the reason that it was intended. It was intended. But,
right. So a couple last minute scenes that I want to mention is that
okay, sure.
When they were saying it's not safe for people under 17 to be eligible for the tournament and everything, everyone was so pissed, and the Weasley brothers were like, they were like furious. I'm like, wow, these people
are rubbish.
Like, what in the world?
I think they were only like a few months from turning 17. I think so. That's probably why they were upset.
I thought that was kind of corny. The whole like them turning old when they clearly don't look old, kind of moment there.
Yeah.
But, also, like in the very beginning of the movie, you get a couple bloody hells from Ron, and this one when Hermione wakes him up and he's like covering himself up like he's naked. He's got a tank top on. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, bloody hell. Like,
well, I guess he just didn't. I don't know. He just he wasn't. He didn't want her to see him indisposed.
Tank top.
See his man boobs. He didn't want to see.
His man boobs were not out. Like, I could
his
kind of
moves
get it
were not out.
if he was shirtless. I would kind of get it, but it's like it's just a tank top, bro.
It's true. We see Harry shirtless like multiple times in this movie. So.
Do we? I didn't even notice.
At least, well, maybe not multiple times. We see him shirtless at least once. When he gets in the prefix bath, which makes sense. He's taking a bath, so.
And we didn't get any bloody hells from him.
Which, by the way, that was another thing. I hate how that looked. It looked horribly depressing. Everything about how they described the prefix bathroom in the book made it sound like golden and like light. I think of like a ryokan or like an onsen bath or something in Japan where it's just like very like dimly lit and it's just very nice and calming. And this is like it feels like ice. Like everything, the lighting in that room was just like moonlight, and it looked depressing and weird, and I didn't like it. It didn't look warm. So
it is also very weird that it's like a very fancy thing they just randomly have in Hogwarts that you can just go in this like huge bath. I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah, prefix. So there's only 8 people at a time can only use that. It's kind of wild. Well, 10 probably because you'll then have head boy and head girl.
Well,
So
you need to get a bunch of horny kids in that bath. That's all right.
you could theoretically, sure. Yeah.
You know that's where Neville was late at night before he came back.
Yeah, in the prefect's bathroom. He's not a prefect. He's not a prefect.
Right.
Goof.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
So what score do you give Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire?
This is like a 7 for me, I think. Yeah, I just have too many. It's that all the like small problems I have with it just pile up and just become very frustrating to me. I like the movie. I think it's entertaining. Like I said, I think I found more. I was enjoying it more than I thought I was going to watching it again because I was sort of dreading watching this again. Because of all the things that I ranted and raved about here. Overall, I mean, it's fine. I do not like this movie very much in comparison to the other ones, but I still enjoy it. It's still fun. I still have a good time. It's the vibes are there,
Vibes are off.
and the vibes are off, but they're still mostly there.
They're there.
Like I feel like my reaction to this movie is like when Harry first enters Dumbledore's memory in the pensieve scene, where Harry's like looking, he's like Professor, and then there's a guy who's like Albus Dumbledore, and Dumbledore just goes and shakes his hand. That's about my reaction to this movie. I feel like it's just
I thought you were gonna say your reaction
hand.
is similar to Halloween Town 2 versus Halloween Town 1.
Oh. No, I was gonna say my reaction is more or less Dumbledore's just grunting and shaking a man's hand.
Right. Fair enough.
That's about my feelings. So.
Fair enough. 8.5 player.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right.
Dang. Yeah.
I get
Raising it up.
I get all the criticisms, and I'm there with you on a lot of them. But for some reason, I have to go with my heart. And when I just loved it instantly, and it was very easy for me to say that. So I'm like, I need to follow that.
If you're having a fun time, I can't blame you.
Yeah, and maybe it's the fact that you've read the book and you know what could have been better. And me, I like it for what it is because the elements you like from the book are there. They're just not fleshed out in the way that you know them that it could be.
We will get into that in the next movie for sure. Because I have very different feelings about the next movie, and they cut so much more out of that movie than they did in this one. I'll tell you that right now. They cut tons out of that book. We'll rewatch it. We'll see if I can reassess. Because I feel like I'm scoring this higher than my gut was telling me I was going to. I'm just like, but.
All right, so it's the Tarqaron score is 7.75. All right.
Yeah.
And that's so far for me. That's three Harry Potters got 8.5. And one's got 7.5. All right, so see how they go from here.
Yeah. We'll see.
Until then, why don't you go check out our review of Halloween Town 2. Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge.
Okay.
All right.
It definitely has some similar vibes, yeah.
Not for me, though.
Not for me. Not for me.
Well, Halloween Town 2 is like, I still get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
But it's much worse, even than this one, like, even looking at the technical aspects, it's just...
Yeah.
So, but,
Yeah.
Check that out. All right. If you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and if you do, we'll be sure to read it in the next episode of the Tarqaron podcast. Click that notification bell, and click link in the description for our social media. All right.
Sounds good.